Hello, guys, gals, and non binary pals, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 1, Onikakushi. Let's go ahead and just get into it. Good morning.
ケイちゃん、昨日はお疲れ様。
Nice job yesterday, Kei-chan.
ミヨンこそお疲れさんな。
You didn't do so badly yourself, Mion.
昨日は楽しかったぜ。
Yesterday was fun.
そうそう。ケイチくん、本当にありがとね。
Oh, that's right, Keiichi-kun. Thank you very much.
クマさん。
From Mr. Bear.
気に入ってもらえて嬉しいぜ。裁縫針とか刺したりするのに使うなよ。
I'm glad you like it. Don't use it as a pincushion, though.
しないよ、そんなこと。
I wouldn't. Still chatting happily, we entered the classroom, but the moment I stepped into the room, a splashing sound and a nasty sensation. It was a bucket filled to the brim with water, and unfortunately, my foot stepped right into it.
朝から雑巾がけとは熱心でございますわね。
My now, how diligent of you to mop the floor this morning.
ケイチさんがデコピンした。
She sounds sick, flicked my forehead.
今度はもっと凶悪な罠を仕掛けなさいですよ。
You should set a more brutal trap next time. Seeing that, Rena began to swoon as Mion looked on in disbelief. Everything was the same as always. Everybody was there and nothing felt out of place. The uncertainties I'd had in the back of my mind since yesterday had vanished.
どうしたの、ケイチくん。
What is it, Keiichi-kun?
ひょっとして寝不足か
Didn't get enough sleep, maybe?
な。かな。
Maybe?
バッチリ爆睡したよ。なんなら授業中にも実演するぜ。
I slept like a log, but if you want, I'll do a reenactment during class.
ダメだよ、そんなの。
You shouldn't do that. Mion alerted us that the teacher was coming, so everyone shuffled off to their seats.
皆さん、おはようございます。
Good morning, everyone.
昨日はお祭りでしたね。
So yesterday was the festival.
最後まで後片付けに参加した人たちは、本当にお疲れ様でした。
Thank you to all the people who stayed until the very end to help clean up. We were all slackers, so none of us actually helped clean up. Actually, I had a feeling that the only thing we did was run around the festival and cause a ruckus.
さて、この時期にはお祭りの取材で遠くから雑誌なんかの取材の方が見えたりします。
Okay then. This time of year, you might see some people from out of town doing interviews about the festival for magazines. I thought it was the usual stuff, so I was going to tune it out, but then I noticed the different tone in her voice and started paying attention.
皆さんが取材を受けることがあるかもしれませんが、曖昧なことやいい加減なことは言わないように。
You may be asked questions. Please don't say anything silly or something that could be taken the wrong way.
いいですね。
Do you understand? In unison, everyone replied, Yes, ma'am. What she'd said was really vague, but I understood what she was trying to say. After all, this was the 5th year. There were probably lots of third-rate reporters pouring in, hoping something regarding the curse had happened. It did nothing but perpetuate the village's bad image. She was saying, don't spout stupid shit you think is funny. And now, I was one of the ones who needed to keep their mouths shut. I found it rather cute how I felt a sense of unity from such a trite thing, if I do say so myself. I was summoned to club activities after school. Since everybody was still pretty tired from yesterday, we just spent the day relaxing. Yeah, that wasn't happen.
今日は本格派の推理ゲームでいこう。
Today, let's play a classic game of deduction.
こんなのはどうかな？
How about this one?
お、海外もののゲームか。
Oh, a game from overseas.
面白そうだな。
Looks interesting.
説明書も英語ですけどね。
The instructions are in English.
ルールはそう難しくはありませんのよ。
But the rules don't seem that hard.
負けないからね。
I won't lose here.
僕はこのゲーム苦手じゃないですよ。
I'm not too bad at this game. It seemed that Nana didn't handle this kind of game very well.
ルールはね、事件の犯人と凶器、あと犯行現場の3つを当てられた人が勝ち。
The rules are, the person who can match the murderer, weapon, and the scene of the crime wins. There were 3 kinds of cards comprised of suspects, weapons, and locations. I could see that the names Mion and Rika were written on the suspect cards. Oh, a card that had my name on it as well.
凶器のカードにもいろいろ種類があるな。
There are plenty of different weapons too,
斧やらナイフやら毒物やら。
like knives, axes, and poison.
犯行現場のカードも渋いぞ。
The locations are pretty nice too,
リビングやら書斎やら中庭やら。
like the living room, the study, and the courtyard.
つまりね、
So, basically,
これらのカードが1枚ずつ抜かれるの。
you take out one of each of the cards.
それが正解のカード。
These are the answer cards.
で、残ったカードはシャッフルしてみんなで等分。
So we shuffle the remaining cards and hand them out.
互いに手持ちのカードを質問し合って、抜かれた正解のカードが何かを探るわけ。
We ask each other about the cards and figure out the right ones. Ah, I see. So the cards nobody has are the true perpetrators.
それで、答えが分かったら挙手。
Then you raise your hand if you know the answer.
ゲームを終了して、答えが正しいかを確認。
The game ends and we check if the answer is correct.
正解なら勝ちで1ポイント。
If you're right, then you get a point.
外れていればマイナス1ポイント。
If you're wrong, then you lose a point.
正解してもしなくてもゲーム終了だから、カードは集めて仕切り直しってわけ。
Since the game ends even if no one gets it right, all the cards are gathered up and redistributed.
やってみればわかるでございますわ。
You'll learn as you go.
結構頭を使うでございますわよ。
You really have to use your brain.
メモを取りながらじゃないと混乱しますです。
You'll get confused if you don't take notes.
あとはやって覚えるさ。で、ミオン。
The rest you can figure out by playing. So, Mion,
今回の罰ゲームは何だ？
what's the penalty this time? Everyone directed their attention to Mion.
そうだね。
Let's see.
じゃあ、昨日の疲れも多少あるだろうから、今日はソフトに。使いっ走りの刑はどう？
We're all still a little tired from yesterday, so maybe we'll take it easy with a gopher penalty.
みんなからお使いを頼まれて、それを買いに走るってわけ。
You'll be asked to rush out and buy stuff for everyone.
つまり、ジュースとかお菓子とかを買いに行かされるんだね。
So just being asked to go buy stuff like drinks and candy, I guess.
今日の罰ゲームは簡単そうな気がしますです。
I feel like the penalty today is pretty simple. I wonder, is it really?
やはり、ケイチさんもそう思いますですの？
Is Keiichi-san thinking what I'm thinking?
ああ、
Yeah,
何を買いに行かされるかわからないからな。
you don't know what you'll have to go buy. I'm betting Mion would send out whoever loses to buy stuff like hemorrhoid cream or a happy family planning manual or other crazy stuff. The cards were lightly shuffled and passed out to each player. The real perpetrator, the correct weapon, and the scene of the murder have been taken out, so that means all the cards I have in my hand are innocent cards.
じゃあ、1番は部長の私から行くよ。
Then, I'll go first since I'm the club president, I guess.
ミオン、ナイフ、 書斎
Mion, knife, study. You pick one suspect weapon and murder scene and ask the other players. If you have any of those cards, then you must say, I have one. However, you don't need to say which one you have.
あ、俺持ってるぜ。
Yeah, I got it.
レナもあるよ。
Me too.
僕も持ってますです。
I have one.
完全な投資ですわね。
Oh my, all of them are here. 3 people answered when she said if they had Mion, knife, and study. So that means that Mion, knife, and study are all in the clear. Got to jot that down.
じゃあレナはね、レナ、オノ、ラウンジだよ。
Tanoko, Rena, Axe, Lounge. Only 2 people said that they had one. So it means out of Rena and Axe and Lounge, one of them is correct and is part of the crime? No, wait. Even if they say that they have one, they don't have to say how many. It's possible that either Satoko or Rika-chan has 2 of the cards.
じゃあ次はケイちゃんだね。どうぞ。
Well, Kei-chan is next. Go ahead.
待ってくれよ。
Wait a little.
まだ整理中。
I'm still sorting things out. The game has me thinking more than I thought. Oh man, this feels like it's going to be tough.
よっしゃ、犯人確定。
Alright, now I have the criminal.
何？
What?
も
Already? Here I am spinning around in circles, and Mion just now raises her hand.
犯人はリカちゃん。
The murderer is Rika-chan.
凶器は毒物で、犯行現場は医務室。
In the infirmary with the poison.
どう？
Well, Mion drew the cards from the box and we checked to see if her deduction was right.
正解だね。
I was right.
あと一手だったですのに。
Oh, all I needed was one more hand.
毒物かピストルかわからなかったでございます。
I couldn't tell whether it was poison or a pistol.
ピストルなんか使わないです。
I'd never use a pistol.
毒物でじわりじわりがいいのです。
I like killing them slowly with poison. Rika-chan said such a hugely terrifying thing with such a sweet little face. Everyone was making a commotion about how they almost had it. Rena and I were left out in the cold, though.
ケイチ君はどうだったかな？
How did you do, Keiichi-kun?
レナは全然。
I couldn't get it at all.
安心しろ。
Don't worry,
俺もさっぱりだ。
I had no idea either.
二人とも何自信ないこと言ってんだか。
How can you both be so unsure?
二人仲良くビリになっちゃうよ。
You'll both end up in last place together at this rate. That's even worse. Going off buying something together as a couple. What if we ended up having to buy the Happy Family Planning Manual?
ケイチはこのゲーム苦手そうな顔してますです。
I can tell from Keiichi's expression that he's not very good at this game.
な！
What?
全然そんなことはないぞ。
That's not true.
次でシャーロック前原の実。
I'll show you the true power of Sherlock
So
Maibara
really
during the
this
next round. My. That sounds just wonderful.
徹底的に叩きのめして差し上げますわ。
I shall give you quite the thrashing. After that, I managed to somewhat grasp the trick behind the game, but I was still always a step or 2 behind. I saw that Mion was somehow gleaning information from how the others were asking their questions. That level of experience was just too much. The only way I could stage a comeback was if I became ruthless. I tossed out the simple concept of deduction and switched over to the thought process needed to win. The important thing isn't to find out the criminal, it's to win at the game. Eureka!
あ、ごめん。 ちょっとトイレ行ってくるな。
Ah, sorry, need to go to the bathroom.
ゆっくりブリブリしておいで。
Take your time and squeeze out a nice one.
みーちゃん、それ下品。
Me-chan, that's gross. I had them hold off the game and headed down the hall. The air was crisp. It showed just how stagnant the air in the classroom was from our body heat. On the school grounds, some of our classmates were still playing around. After spending some time cooling my head, Rana had made her way over towards me.
ケイチくん、ひょっとしてレナのこと呼んだ？
Keiichi-kun, did you call for me?
ああ、読んだ。
Yeah, I did. As I got up from my seat, I winked over at Rana. I'm glad it worked out.
時間の無駄なので、担当直入に行く。
I don't want to waste much time, so I'll get right to the
で
point.
な、お前の今日のゲームの過去の戦績は？
Rana, what's your record at this game we're playing today? She was taken aback. After a moment, she hesitantly opened her mouth.
全敗だよ。
Well, all losses.
どうしてそんなこと聞くんだろう。
Why do you ask? I wonder. I could tell from how apprehensively she was playing.
このままで行くと、俺もそうなる。
The way things are going, I will as well.
今日のゲームは大逆転の秘策が思いつかない。
I can't figure out a way to pull off a last-minute comeback on this one.
じゃあ、今日の罰ゲームはケイチくんと一緒なのかな？
So, I guess both of us will be taking that penalty?
おいおい、早くも負けを受け入れるなよ。
Hey, don't accept defeat already.
勝ちに行こうぜ。
How about we win this?
俺たちで。
Both of us.
でも、どうやって？
But how can we? I brought my lips up to Nana's ear. Whisper, 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 whisper.
そんなのありなのかな？
Is that allowed?
忘れたのか、レナ。快速第2条だぞ。
Did you forget, Nana? The second rule of our society.
勝つために全ての努力をしよ
Do everything in your power to obtain victory.
頑張るよ。
Yeah, I'll try my best. Our plan of attack was a quite rudimentary one. At the beginning of the game, everyone would be focused on their own hand for a while, taking notes and whatnot. Since our seats were right next to each other, we'd reveal our hands to each other. If we did it under the desk, then nobody would know. We'd begin the game with twice as much information as everyone else. Having this much information would mean we'd need to investigate less.
う。この作戦なら、他の連中よりも確実なリードを持って開始できる。
With this sort of plan of attack, we start off with a big lead over the other guys.
これなら今度こそ勝てそうだよ。
Yeah, with this we can probably win. We both smirked at each other. If I was the shady businessman, then Nana was the corrupt senator. Pleasure doing business with you.
じゃあ早速戻ろうよ。二人で組んでみんなをあっと言わせちゃおう。
Then let's hurry back. We'll work as a duo to surprise everyone.
おいおい、
Hey now,
二人で一緒に戻っちゃ意味ないだろ
there's no point if we go back
う。
together.
いかにも打ち合わせしてきましたって感じだぞ。
It would be like flat out telling them we made a little arrangement.
あ、ごめん。じゃあどうしよう。
Oh, sorry. Then what should we do?
レナは先に戻れ。
Go back ahead of me, Rena.
俺は洗面所で顔でも洗って、のんびりしてから戻る。
I'll take my time coming back after washing my face or something.
わかったね。
Okay, got it. Nana turned around and headed back to the classroom. I guess I should wait a bit longer before going back. If I went too soon, it wouldn't seem like I went to the bathroom. If Mion or one of them suspected something, then there could be problems. Well, they'd figure it out sooner or later, because both Nana and I would start winning over and over again. Both Rana and I will have earned enough points to avoid being the losers by the time Mion realized what was happening. Excellent. Not bad at all.
前原くん、ちょっといいですか？
May I have a moment? Huh? It's the teacher. Man, things were just getting good.
何ですか？今ちょっと大事な。
What is it? I'm a bit...
前原くんにお客さんがいらしてますよ。
You have a guest.
昇降口へ行ってください。
Please make your way to the entrance.
お客さん？
A guest?
俺別にお店なんか開いてないし。
It's not like I own a hotel.
待たせていますよ。早く行ってきなさい。
They've been waiting. Please hurry. Right before my big match was pretty bad timing to have a visitor, but the very fact that someone was here to see me was strange enough to pique my interest. I didn't want to waste any time, so I decided to take care of it quickly. The entryway was a heavy contrast from the hot sunlight and deep shadows. Waiting there, looking uncomfortably warm, was a middle-aged man, his tie sloppily loosened, and his jacket tucked underneath his arm.
前原さんですか？
Are you Maibara-san?
前原圭一さん。
Keiichi Maibara-san. There was no question that he wasn't a resident of Hinamizawa, and that this was without a doubt the first time he had met me. Ever since I met Tomitake-san, it seemed I was fated to meet middle-aged men.
そうですよ。
That's right.
どちら様ですか？
Who might you be?
私の車、エアコンが効いてますから、そっちでお話しましょ
I have the AC on in my car. Let's talk there.
う。ここ暑くありません？
It's a bit hot here, don't you think? The man, completely ignoring my question, pointed over to his car parked near the gate and began walking. You've got to be kidding me. I had no intention of going along with some geezer I didn't even know, and he was asking me to get in his car with him?
だって食いやしません。
I'm not going to bite.
どうぞどうぞ。
Come on now. He opened the back door of his car and called me over. I didn't like this old man, but I wanted to know what this was about. Even while knowing that conversations that start out like this have never led to anything good. The inside of his car was pretty cool. Cars with air conditioners were supposed to be a luxury. My dad didn't have one in his car, at least.
冷えすぎだったら言ってくださいよ。
Please let me know if it's too cold for you, okay?
私、ガンガンに冷やしちゃうたちですから。
I have a habit of cranking it all the way up.
で、俺に何の用ですか？
So what business do you have with me? Out of spite, I decided to ignore his remark in the same way he did to me and start my own line of questioning. He pulled out a notepad from his pocket and took out a picture that was stuck between the pages. On it was the face of a pretty goofy-looking guy.
この男性のことでご存知のことがあったら教えてください。
If you know anything related to this individual, please tell me. Who the heck is this? I doubt even his close friends would be able to recognize who he was from this expressionless picture that looked like it was taken at the DMV.
シャツにマジックで落書きがありましたね。
There were scribbles on his shirt done in permanent marker.
前原さんをはじめ、クラスメート何人かの署名入りでした。
Starting with yours, Maibara-san, and quite a few of your classmates signed as well.
え？
Huh?
これ、富武さん？
This is Tomitake-san. There was no hint of his usual unreliable and easygoing personality in this photo. It was an expressionless, half-asleep face.
では、こちらの女性はわかりますか？
Do you know this woman? Even before seeing it, I had a good idea of who it was.
名前は知りませんけど、ゆうべ富武さんと一緒にいた女の人です。
Oh, I don't remember her name, but she's some lady who was with Tomitake-san last night. I didn't know what her name was, but I did know that she was a resident of Hinamizawa.
この二人に最後に会ったのはいつですか？
When was the last time you saw these two?
綿流しのお祭りの晩、一緒に話をしました。
The night of the Watanagashi. We spoke.
二人とも仲良さそうでしたよ。
They seem pretty close, I guess.
何か気になったこととかありませんか？
Did anything bother you about them?
何でも結構です。
Anything is fine.
話してください。
Go ahead and say it. Being asked for every little detail is very troubling, honestly. I had a pretty good idea of who this guy was by now.
富武さんたちに何かあったんですか？
Did something happen to them? There was no response to my inquiry. Thus, I replied to that silence in kind. I was pretty sure, no, certain, that this guy was a cop. Then why? Why was he asking about Tomitaka-san? Did something happen to him? More importantly, why me? Shouldn't there have been plenty of other people who knew more about him than I did? The roar of the air conditioner felt unbearably loud. After a long pause, he finally spoke again.
前原さんはまだこちらに越されてきたばかりですよね。
You've moved here just recently. Isn't that right, Maibara-san?
ご存知ですかな？
Are you aware, I wonder,
例の親代様の話は。
about the stories of Oyashiro-sama? My heart began to race. I'm pretty terrible at hiding things. It probably showed on my face.
全く知らない？
Not at all.
知らないんなら結構なんですがね。
If you don't, that's fine.
まあ、聞いたことくらいは。
Well, I've heard of it.
富武さんに教えてもらったんですけど、
Tomitaka-san told me, actually.
どの辺までご存知ですか？
How much do you know about it? The dismemberment killing, the accidental death, the death by illness followed by suicide, and the lady who was beaten to death. The incidents that always happen the day of the Watanagashi, ending in suspicious deaths. I didn't think Tomitaka-san would have kept anything from me. I think that was everything. No. Rather, I didn't want to think there was anything more than that.
前原さんはそのタタリーとかを信じていますか？率直なところで結構です。
Maibara-san, do you believe in the curse? Feel free to speak openly about it.
信じてません。
I don't believe in it. My answer was instant. It wasn't so much that I didn't believe in it as I was on the verge of believing. I wanted to clear away my own doubts. That was the more prominent feeling.
本当に？
Really?
ならよかったです。
That's great.
やっぱり前原さんは都会育ちですね。
Guess you really are one of those city-raised boys.
信じてなかったら何なんですか？
So what if I don't believe?
俺、仲間を待たせてるんで、あまり時間取れないんですけど。
I have friends waiting, so could you get to the point?
その写真の男性は昨晩お亡くなりになりました。
The man in this picture is dead. My mind went blank. Huh? What happened to Tomitaka-san?
よりにもよってね、お亡くなりになられたのが昨日なんですよ。
It would seem that he died last night.
つまり綿流しの当日。
That was the night of the Watanagashi.
前原さんにはどういう意味があるのかわかりますよね。
Do you understand the implications behind that, Maibara-san?
意味って、意味なんか。
Implications. Not any yet. Not any for the cause of his death or the reasons behind it. The real problem was that he died on the day of the Watanagashi. Meaning, this year, the curse of Oyashiro-sama had once again.
富武二郎さんがお亡くなりになられたことはまだ内緒です。
The death of Jiro Tomitaka is still confidential.
どうしてかはなんとなくお分かりになりますよね。
You can understand why that is, right? I didn't want to understand why.
教えてください。
Please tell me.
一体何があったんですか？
Tell me what happened.
得意なんですよ。
It was rather peculiar.
ひなみ沢の方にはちょっと刺激の強い。
It might be a little too graphic for someone born and raised in Hinamizawa. It was a roundabout way of saying it, but it caused me to doubt whether or not I wanted to hear the rest. I would only regret forcing myself to learn of something I shouldn't. Or at least, that's how I figured I would feel if I listened to the rest.
第一発見は祭りの警備を終えて期間中のうちのワゴンでした。
One of our patrol cars discovered the body on the way back from security detail at the festival.
時刻は24時5分前。
It was late, about 5 till midnight.
場所は、町へ出る道路がちょうど舗装道路に変わるところありますよね。
The location was, you know where the road into town becomes paved, right?
坂を下り切ったあたりに、あそこの路肩でした。
Down past the slope, on the shoulder, around there. There were few streetlights on that road. Its pitch black darkness was only broken by the lights of passing cars and the moon. It was a stroke of luck that Tomitake-san was spotted collapsed on the shoulder of the road. Tomitake-san was face down, covered in blood. Blood and muck covered the asphalt.
みんなはじめはひき逃げされたものだと思っていました。
We thought it was a hit and run at first.
ですが、意識を確かめるために近づいた警官はすぐに異常に気づきました。
But when the officer checked to see if he was still alive, he quickly noticed something abnormal.
喉がね、引き裂かれていたんですよ。
His throat had been ripped open.
ナイフとか？
From a knife or something?
いいえ、
No.
爪でした。
Nails. Nails? As in fingernails? You mean his neck was clawed through?
検視の結果、それも自分の爪でということが判明しました。
From the coroner's report, it was revealed that it was his own nails.
それってどういうことですか？
What does that mean? Basically, it means it wasn't a murder. It was a suicide. Tomitake-san, whatever was going through his mind, tore open his own throat, as hard as he could with his own nails. Tore through the skin until he started to bleed. And even then, Tomitake-san didn't stop. He continued clawing. With enough intensity that it could have peeled off his nails, still clawing. Then, as his nails reached those vital arteries that you should never damage, he continued clawing. Spurt. Blood splattered on the ground around him. As he bled, while gasping for breath, he collapsed. His body spasmed, and he died in agony.
薬物を疑いましたが、そういう類のものは検出できませんでした。
We thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature was detected. But it was a suicide? I've never heard of such a thing. This unnatural way of dying. If this wasn't a mysterious death, then what was? The way he died. In these 5 years, his death most resembled that of a curse. As if to show both myself and Tomitake-san, who proclaimed there was no such thing as a curse, that we were wrong.
他にもいくつか不審な点があります。
There were a few more suspicious details.
体内分泌物、発汗、脱毛等から富武さんはお亡くなりになる直前、極度の興奮状態だったようなのです。
From his body chemistry, perspiration, epilation, and so on, we concluded that he was in a state of hysteria right before his death. That was a given. It's hard to believe someone could be in a sound state of mind while clawing out their throat.
手の傷と付近に落ちていた角材が一致しました。
Wounds on his hands matched a discarded piece of lumber found nearby.
周囲の木やガードレールに叩いた跡。
There are traces of where he struck trees and guardrails with it.
周囲に散乱する富武さんの血痕。
Tomitaka-san's blood was found all over the place.
つまりですね。
Meaning that while tearing at his own throat, he was swinging around a piece of lumber.
体からは本人によらない外傷がいくつか発見されました。
There were external injuries, which were not self-inflicted, discovered on Tomitaka-san.
富武さんは何者かに暴行を受けた可能性があるということです。
There is a high probability Tomitaka-san was assaulted.
外傷の部位から見て複数犯の可能性もあります。
The external injuries suggest that there may be multiple suspects. To summarize, Tomitaka-san was surrounded and attacked. While wandering the night roads in a state of panic, after being cornered, he picked up a piece of lumber and tried fighting back. Somewhere in there, he began madly tearing at his own throat, clawing at it. Then he died.
死亡推定時刻は21時から23時頃のようです。
The presumed time of death was between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m.
つまり、お祭りで前原さんが富武さんとお話しして、別れてからすぐの出来事なんですよ。
Meaning, it occurred right after you finished talking to Tomitaka-san at the festival. Everyone signed Tomitaka-san's shirt and parted ways. Right after that. Oh yeah, he should have been with a woman. What about her?
行方不明です。
She's missing.
出勤もしていませんし、昨べは自宅にも帰っていません。
She hasn't shown up to work, and she hasn't returned home either.
事件に巻き込まれた可能性が極めて高いようです。
There is a very high probability that she was involved in this incident. For a while, I could only gaze off into space. I never would have thought that something unfortunate happening to somebody close to me could affect me this deeply. The time I had spent with Tomitaka-san was short, but we went to the same festival, spent time together, took part in the same competition. He was one of us.
我々もあらゆる面から捜査を進めますが、村人たちはお社様のたたりの話になると、とにかく口が重くなる。
We have been continuing the investigation on various fronts, but when it comes to Oyashiro-sama's curse, the villagers here aren't very cooperative. That I knew well. I would have been none the wiser if not for Tomitaka-san, the outsider, telling me.
だから、俺なんですか？
So, that's why you came to me?
俺がひなみ沢の人間じゃないから。
Because I'm not originally from Hinamizawa? I should have been angry that that was the reason he wanted to hear what happened from me.
このままでは、富武二郎さんはお社様のたたりで死んだことになってしまいます。
If things go the way they have been, then the conclusion would be that Jiro Tomitake died from Oyashiro-sama's curse. He turned away from me and gazed off into the distance.
綿流しの晩、神聖な儀式の時、無神経にカメラをバシャバシャやってたものだから、お社様の怒りに触れた。
The night of
そう
the
いう話になってしまうんですよ。
night of the Watanagashi, during that sacred ritual, he callously snapped off photos, angering Oyashiro-sama. That's how it's going to turn out.
富武さんに、お社様の罰が当たるわけがない。
There's no way Oyashiro-sama would inflict divine punishment on Tomitaka-san. Tomitake-san had to have been killed by humans, and a cowardly group no less. There's no way I'm going to let this end up being the fault of some curse.
私もそう思います。
I think so as well.
罰もたたりもあるわけがない。
There's no such thing as divine punishment or curses. The tense mood was cut with the man's hearty laugh.
つまり、そういうことですよ、前原さん。
That's how this must be, Maibara-san.
たたりを信じていないひなみ沢の方の協力が不可欠なのです。
Cooperation from individuals in Hinamizawa who don't believe in the curse is indispensable.
わかりますね。
Understand? Neither Tomitaka-san nor I believed in curses. But with the way things were going, it would just end up with Tomitaka-san's death marking the 5th year. Which would mean that Hinamizawa had rejected Tomitaka-san. That was something I couldn't allow. Tomitaka-san was one of us. He didn't live in Hinamizawa, but he came every year. In a sense, he was more of a resident than I was. There was no way that Tomitaka-san could have been cursed by Oyashiro-sama.
でも、俺に協力できることなんか何もないですよ。
But there's nothing I can do to help.
あの晩のことは何も知らないし。
I have no idea what happened that night either.
いえいえ、何か気になるものを見たり聞いたりしたら教えてくださればいいんです。
No. If you see or hear something that draws your attention, then that is enough. If I see or hear, he was talking in the future tense.
物でも人でも噂でも
Things or people or rumors.
何でも結構です。
Anything is fine.
不確かなもので構いませんから。
I don't care if they're unfounded.
これ、私の電話番号です。不在でしたら出たものに伝言してくだされば結構です。
Here, this is my number. If I'm not there, then just leave a message with whoever picks up. He handed me a piece of paper with his number on it, but I hesitated for a second. If I took it, then whether I wanted to or not, I'd be mired knee-deep in this matter.
富武さんの無念を晴らすためにどうかご
Please
協
help
力をお願いしたいのです。
Please help me solve these questions surrounding Tomitaka-san's unfortunate death. That's right. Why was I hesitating? I needed to find the murderer who killed my friend. I snatched up the piece of paper as a satisfied grin spread across his face.
今日ここでした話はすべて内緒です。
Everything we spoke of today is a secret.
絶対に他言無用でお願いします。
Please keep this confidential.
わかりました。
Understood.
お友達にも内緒です。
From your friends as well.
特に園崎さんや古出さんには絶対に知られないようにしてください。
Especially from Sonozaki-san and Furude-san. Please do not inform them.
園崎ってミオンのことか？
Sonozaki, you mean Mion?
なんでだよ。事件に関係あるっていうのかよ。
Why? Are you saying they have something to do with the incident? With my friends' names being brought up so abruptly, being told to keep it a secret from them, I became rather angry.
捜査上の都合ということなんです。
This is what they call investigative privilege, I suppose.
煙に巻くなよ。
Don't play games with
ミ
me.
オンは俺の大切な仲間だぞ。
Mion is a close friend of mine. I snapped at him, but he didn't seem to be especially offended.
言ってもいいですが、気を悪くしないでくださいね。
I wouldn't mind telling you, but it may just upset you.
言えよ。
Say it. He hesitated a little. Turning his gaze to the outside of the car, he began to speak after thinking for a bit.
ひなみ沢で起こった一連の事件は、村ぐるみで引き起こされている可能性があるのです。
There is a possibility that the string of incidents happening here in Hinamizawa are a result of a village conspiracy.
そんなことあるわけないじゃないか。
There's no way that could be right. Give me a break. First of all, is there any proof of that?
証拠はありません。
No evidence.
しかも過去の事件はここに解決し、いずれの犯人も村とは直接関係ありませんでしたしね。
Also, each of the cases were resolved, and none of the perpetrators had any direct connection to the village.
さあ、どう考えたらそんな考えに至るんだよ。
And how did you come to that conclusion?
毎年Watanagashiの日に村の旧敵が死ぬ。
Every year, the enemies of the village die on the day of the Watanagashi.
それだけで十分に疑えると思いませんか？
Don't you think that's enough reason to suspect something? Only the residents of Hinamizawa felt that the day of the Watanagashi was sacred. So basically, because incidents happened on that day, it was somehow related to Hinamizawa?
はじめはダム工事の監督。
First, it was the dam construction foreman.
そして次にダムを誘致した村人。
Then it was a villager that supported it.
村の旧敵は次々に開始しました。
Those the village holds a grudge against die one after the other from mysterious causes.
過程はともかく結果はそうなのです。
The means are different, but in the end the result is the same. Unfounded, unreasonable suspicion. But it couldn't just be shrugged off.
じゃあ、次に死んだ神主やその次に死んだ主婦はどうです？
So, the victims after that. What about the Shinto priest and his wife's death?
別に村の敵だったわけじゃない。
They weren't enemies of the village.
神主はダム騒動当時リーダーシップを期待されながらも積極的な働きがなかったため、一部の村人から失望、反感を買っていました。
The villagers had expected leadership from the Shinto priest at the time of the dam dispute, but he wasn't proactive, so there was a faction of villagers who harbored ill will towards him as a result.
反感があったにしたって別に村に害を与えたわけじゃないだろう。
Ill will? It's not like he did anything bad to the village.
その次の主婦なんかどうだよ。
And what about the housewife after that?
誘致した男の弟夫婦だったってだけの理由だろう。もっと殺される理由が薄いじゃないか。
Did she die just because she was the wife of the brother of a supporter? That's such a trivial reason to kill someone.
そして富武さんに至ってはどうだよ。
And what about Tomitaka-san?
ダム工事とは関係すらないじゃないか。ただよそ者だってだけの理由だぞ。
He's not affiliated with the dam project at all. Was he killed just because he was an outsider? In the beginning, it fell on those related to the dam project, but as the years went on, the enemy threshold of the villa. In the beginning, it fell on those related to the dam project, but as the years went on, the enemy threshold of the victims had become much lower.
それがね、怖いんですよ。
Well, that's the scary part.
徐々に希薄になっていくのが。
The bar keeps getting lower.
何がだよ。
What's scary about that?
つまり村の敵でなく、よそ者だというだけの理由で犠牲になりつつあるんですよ。
It means it's not just enemies of the village anymore. Just being an outsider could be reason enough.
じゃあ来年の被害者は村のよそ者から選ばれるっていうのか？
Then you're saying that next year's victim will be picked out of the village outsider pool?
あるいは引っ越してきたばかりの人かもしれません。
It might be a person that just moved here.
それってどういう？
What do you mean by... I swallowed my words. Here in Hinamizawa, the ones who would be considered the most outside would be my family. I was proof enough of that, wasn't I? I still couldn't really remember the names of the people I passed by. Then, the next victims, my family. Was he saying it was going to be me?
でもそれとミオンとどう関係があるんだよ。
But what does that have to do with Mion?
詳しくは申し上げられませんが、園崎さん一家はダム騒動時の抵抗運動の旗頭だったのです。
I can't go into details, but the Sonozaki family led the dam protests.
それも過激なね。
Quite fervently so.
例えば 園崎美音さんについても同様です。
This is also true of Mion Sonozaki-san herself.
抵抗運動時、いくつかの軽犯罪と公務執行妨害で補導歴があります。
She has quite a few misdemeanor and obstruction of public worker offenses on her record because of the protests. I knew that Mion had fought. This was the first I'd heard of her family leading the protests, though. Then, well, what did it all mean?
ミオンの一家が一連の事件に関係しているとでも言うのかよ。
Are you saying that Mion's family is involved with this string of incidents?
そうまでは言いません。
I wouldn't go that far.
もしもそうだったら、一番確率が高い。それだけのことなんです。
I'm just saying that if there was a conspiracy, then they'd have the highest probability of being behind it. Not a very clear explanation. It felt like he'd magnificently avoided the details I really wanted to know.
誰が一体どれだけ関わっているのか、全くわか
We don't know who or how involved anyone is right now.
だからこそ、村人に口外してほしくないのです。
That is exactly why I don't want you to say anything to the villagers. Instead of answering, I gave a very bitter expression. It seemed that he understood it well enough.
じゃあ、こう考えましょう。
And then think of it like this.
たたりを盲信する村人の皆さんに心配させたくないから内緒。
I don't want to worry the villagers who blindly believe it's the curse.
そういうことでどうです？
How about that? What do you mean, how about that? How should I know? But the reasoning behind wanting me to not carelessly open my mouth about it wasn't too hard to comprehend. The perpetrator was here. It had nothing to do with the curse. He was definitely going to be caught by the police and made to pay for his crimes. And none of the villagers should have anything to do with that process. It may cause those sensitive about the curse to just worry needlessly.
みんなが俺に心配させないために内緒にしてくれたように、
Just like everyone kept it from me, so I wouldn't worry about it.
今度は俺がみんなに心配させないために内緒にする番ってことなのか。
Is it now my turn to keep it from them so they don't have to worry? I was just talking to myself. Unlike me, everyone else had been worrying over these mysterious incidents yearly, and the incident this time probably means a lot more to them. I didn't want to burden them anymore. In the end, everything went as the man had wanted, as insipid as it was. But it couldn't be helped.
わかりました。俺だけの秘密にします。
I understand. I'll keep it to myself.
それでいいですよね。名前。
Is that fine? Mr.
沖宮署の大石です。
Ooishi from the Okinomiya police station.
なんなら、クラちゃんでもいいですよ。
You can call me Kura-chan if you want.
いや、大石さんでいいです。
No, Ooishi-san is fine. The way he said it was unpleasant, yet retained hints of politeness. He was the spitting image of a vulgar police officer. Though, I've never seen one this bulky before in the cop shows I watch.
時間を取らせすぎました。
I've taken up too much time.
お友達を待たせていますよね。
Your friends are waiting, aren't they?
もう戻った方がいいでしょ
I should probably let you get back to them. The door opened with a click and in streamed the oppressive heat. It was blistering outside of the car. Was it really this hot of a day? It was an almost cruel heat, as opposed to the mechanical coolness inside the car. It was as if the land of Hinamizo itself suddenly hated me. I felt a little sad as that thought crossed my mind.
う。お友達を疑えと言ったわけではありませんからね。
I didn't mean to suspect your friends.
誤解しないでくださいよ。
Please don't misunderstand that. I refrained from telling him that it was too late to say something that self-serving.
前原さんが何も見つけず、聞きもしなかったとしても、それで十分なんです。
It's fine if you don't see or hear anything, Maibara-san.
それは村が関わっていないという証拠になるのですから。
It would help to prove that the village is not involved after all.
見たり聞いたりしたら連絡しますけど、
I'll contact you if I hear or see anything.
俺は探偵じゃないですからね。
But I'm no detective.
変な期待しないでくださいよ。
Please don't expect too much from me.
しませんしません。
I won't.
探偵になんかならなくていいですよ。
You don't have to become a detective.
今までのように自然に生活してください。
Just go on living as you have up until now.
その中で見聞きしたことを教えてくだされば結構なんです。
Just let me know if you notice anything. I hastily made my way back to the school building after giving him a quick bow.
またお会いしましょう。さようなら、前原君。
See you later. Farewell, my Barakun. I returned to the school building without looking back. I don't know how much time had passed. I did feel bad for keeping them waiting, but right now there was a lot on my mind. Tomitaka-san's death was hard enough as it was, but to think that there was a possibility of a village conspiracy, worse still, there was also a chance that Mion was involved? Nonsense. Impossible. Not Mion, Rena, Satoko, or Rika-chan. It was a group that attacked Tomitaka-san? Who could the perpetrators be? Could it be they were hiding here, somewhere in Hinamizawa? I didn't know. All I could say for certain was that I knew that Mion couldn't be the perpetrator.
みーちゃんだよ。
It's Mi-chan,
犯人は
the perpetrator. Huh? I was startled to hear Rena's voice.
凶器はロープで、犯行現場は、
With,
ラウンジ。
with the rope in the lounge.
外れ
Nope. No. Nana clutched her head while flailing about. Looks like you're just self-destructing over here. Wow.
ケイチさん遅かったですわね。
Keiichi-san, you're quite late.
プンプンでございますのことよ。
As you may well know, I'm seething with anger.
ああ、ごめんごめん。
Sorry about
ちょ
that.
っと先生に職員室呼ばれてさ。
I was called into the staff room, you see.
素行が悪くて怒られましたですか？
You were reprimanded for bad behavior.
かわいそうかわいそうです。
That's a shame.
こっちも白熱してたしね。
Well, it's been pretty heated over here.
もういい時間だから次で最後のゲームにしよう。
Since it's getting pretty late, let's make the next game our the last one.
俺の今の持ち点って確か0点だろ。
If I remember right, I had 0 points.
ビリ確定じゃないのかよ。
Isn't it pretty much decided that I'm going to be finished in last place?
大丈夫だよ、ケイチくん。
Don't worry, Keiichi-kun.
レナ、マイナス1点。
I'm at negative 1 point. How? The heck? Her score is lower than mine and I wasn't even playing.
罰ゲームはレナが1人でか、ケイちゃんと2人でかを決める最終戦。
This is the final match to decide if the penalty is going to be carried out by Rena alone or by both Kei-chan and Rena.
冗談じゃねえぞ。
Yeah, right.
罰ゲームはレナ一人でやってくれ。
Just let Rena do the penalty by herself.
ケイチくんと2人で勝とうって約束したのに、ずっと待ってたんだよ。
We made a promise, Keiichi-kun, that we would both win. I waited all this time, you know.
そりゃ俺が悪いな。
I'm sorry about that. I followed my initial plan of showing Rena my cards, but I didn't say who was the criminal and just waited for her to call.
わかったよ。
I got
What?
犯人は私。
The murderer is me.
凶器は毒物で、犯行現場は玄関ホール。
With the poison at the entrance.
どうかなどうかな。
Is it?
おお、レナ。回答早いじゃん。
My, Rena. Quite a quick answer.
また当てずっぽうじゃないの？
Another stab in the dark. Oh.
レナの正解ですよ。
Nana's correct.
じゃあ、これでケイイチさんも罰ゲーム決定ですわね。
Then it's decided that Keiichi-san shall take part in the penalty as well.
やったー。
Hooray!
ケイイチくん、一緒に頑張ろうね。
Keiichi-kun, let's both do our best.
ああ、一緒に頑張ろうな。
Yeah, let's both do our best. It's my fault, so I have no choice.
では、ゲームセット。
And then that's game.
トップは私、園崎美音。
It's me, Mion Sonozaki, ranked first.
ビリは前原圭一と竜宮レナ。
And dead last are Keiichi Maibara and Rena Ryugu. Everyone applauded and the game ended. The problem now was the penalty.
じゃあ、使いっ走りの系の買ってくるものは、トップの私が決めようかね。
Now then, I ranked first, so I'll decide what you'll be buying for the gopher penalty.
何を買いに行かされるんだろう。太郎。
What will she make us buy? I wonder.
薬局は禁じ手にしような。図星太郎。
Let's blacklist the drugstore. That was your aim, wasn't it?
は？
Huh?
薬屋なんかに用ないよ。
I don't have any business at the drugstore.
おじさんが買ってほしいものはね、このメモに書いてあるから。
This old man's already got a list prepared for you on this piece of paper.
わあ、いっぱい書いてあるよ。
Oh, there's a lot written here.
A lot? Damn it, what is she making us buy?
豆腐2丁、
2 blocks of
シャン
tofu,
プーとリンス、
shampoo and conditioner,
みりんに油揚げ。
apple vinegar and fried tofu.
なんだこりゃ。
The heck is this?
罰ゲームってより、お買い物に見えるでございますわね。
It looks more like a shopping list than a penalty.
今日のミーは、勝つ気満々でしたです。
Me was certain she was going to win today.
快速第7条。
Rule 7 of our society.
罰ゲームの内容に逆らわ
You cannot refuse any penalty.
ない。はい、お金。シャンプーはうち、果物物語だからね。よろしく。
Here's the money. The shampoo I usually get is Fruit Fable. Thanks.
これ、お前が頼まれたお使いだろう。
This is just your grocery list. I promised myself that if I won next time, I'd make her go buy hemorrhoid cream. New tips unlocked. There are more than 4 perpetrators. Search notice. There are more than 4 perpetrators. Hypovolemic shock induced by clawing out their own throat.
爪の間に皮膚片が残っておった。間違いなく本人のものじゃわい。
Tissue is packed under the nails, not someone else's nails. It's undoubtedly by the individual's own nails.
傷の形も一致する。
The shape of the scars also matches.
直接死因が自殺ってのは分かってますよ。
Yeah, I know the immediate cause of death was suicide.
分かっとるわい。人為的にこういう症状が起こせんかと言っとるんだろ。
I get it. You're saying the cause of death is unnatural, right?
背中が痒くてかきすぎて血が出ちゃうのとはちょっとわけが違いますからね。
It's not quite on the same level as when your back itches and you scratch a little too hard and draw blood after all. Some of Tomitaka's fingernails had been pulled out. Fingernails actually rip off surprisingly easily, but it really hurts. Under normal circumstances, the pain would prevent you from completely pulling them out. Also, there were a lot of bruises on Tomitaka-san's body. It's clear from the shape of them that he was assaulted first by someone, or a group of people.
分泌物から見て、仏は極度の興奮状態にあったのは間違いないの。
According to the toxology report, the deceased was in an extreme state of hysteria right before death.
では乱闘になって興奮のあまり自分の喉を引っかき出したってことですか。襲った連中さぞや度肝を抜かれたでしょうな。
Then he fought back and clawed out his own throat because of how hysterical he had become. The guys attacking him certainly would have been surprised by that. Is it possible that, in such an abnormal environment, a person could perform acts that a sane individual couldn't possibly imagine? Of course, those are very rare cases.
実はな、大石。仏が武器にしたらしい角材な。
Actually, Ooishi-kun, that wood plank the deceased used as a weapon?
砂粒とか、ガードレールの塗装片とか、そんなのしか出んかったぞい。
They only found sand and the paint from the guardrail on it.
星の服の繊維とか皮膚片とかは？
What about cloth fibers or skin?
出んかった。
Nothing.
仏は犯人を殴っとらん。
The deceased didn't strike the assailants.
あるいは、殴った角材を星が持ち去ったのかもしれんの。
Or it could be they took the plank he was fighting back with.
ならわざわざ角材なんて置いていきませんよ。全部持ってっちゃいます。
In that case, they wouldn't have gone out of their way to replace it with another. They'd take them all.
それもそうじゃの。
That's true.
富武氏は結構体格もいいし肌も焼けてるしスポーツマンですよね。
Tomitaka's pretty built and tanned. He was quite athletic.
そうだな。
That's right.
よく運動しとるようだの。
He was pretty active. I can't imagine what kind of sports he did when he was alive, but I think his physical strength would be on the higher side. Meaning he would be difficult to overpower in a brawl. If a man with such a physique sensed he was in danger and swung the plank around frantically, it's just unthinkable that it wouldn't have even nicked the perpetrator. And his opponent was unarmed. This guy had a wooden plank, so you'd think he'd hit them at least once.
こんだけ体格のいい相手を取り囲んで襲おうとしたら何人くらいいりますかね。
To surround and take down someone of his physique, I wonder how many people it would take.
アホ、それは大石の方が得意だろうが。
You dimwit. If anything, that's your specialty.
アクタレ時代を思い出さんかい。
Have you forgotten about your bad cop days? If I was to take down this guy, how many would I need? When a group wants to take down a big prey, it's fundamental to attack with numbers. I'd guess about 4. Even if there was a gap in their strength, they'd manage.
だとすると、結構犯人は大人数だの。
Then there were quite a few perpetrators.
祭りで泥酔した4人以上のグループが怪しいとなるかの。
So any drunk and disorderly groups of more than 4 are suspicious? A group of 4 or more. Just, if they had that many, then couldn't they have hidden the body in a less obvious location? Or did he somehow break away from that fatal predicament? And there would be no reason to commit suicide. Moreover, I still can't comprehend the irregular way he died. It's full of mysteries.
こっちもそこは重視しとる。徹底的に調べるつもりだが、
That's
あ
under
まり期待できんな。
That's under serious consideration on my end, too. I'll be examining it as thoroughly as possible, but don't get your hopes up.
何しろ、過去にこんな例はないんだからな。
After all, I've never encountered a death like this before.
期待はしませんよ。ですが結果を楽しみにしてます。
I'm not hoping for much, but I am looking forward to the results.
おいさん、課長が呼んでるっす。
Oishi-san, the chief is calling you.
すみません。ではまた来年お会いしましょう。
Thanks. See you around.
おお、いいお年をの。
Yeah, best wishes. Search notice. Jiro Tomitake, deceased. Resided in a cheap hotel in Shishibone City. Registered under the name Jiro Tomitake. Pen name. Travels via folding bike. No license. The bicycle was found 300 meters away, abandoned at the side of a forest path. Present on the day of the festival. Accompanied by the missing Mio Takano. Was seen around 9 p.m. by police. Location afterwards unknown. Held residence in Hinamizawa for 1 week each season for the past 5 to 6 years. Freelance photographer specializing in wild birds. Check with magazine companies. Nothing suspicious in the film located among the articles of the deceased. Wallet was among the articles of the deceased. Mere act of violence? From the contents of his wallet, he spent most of his time around Tokyo and Chiba. Along the Sobu National Railway line? No individual matching the name Jiro Tomitake in the residency records of any Tokyo wards. Compare teeth to dental records. Sent to Metro Police. Attach a photo. Sent to Metro Police. Contact magazines regarding Jiro Tomitake. Mio Takano, missing. Nurse at Irie Clinic. Became close to Tomitake through her passion for wild bird photography. Resides in Okinomiya X District XXX. Single. Witnessed accompanying Tomitake on the festival grounds. Currently missing. Abducted, or maybe a suspect. An important person of interest. Had no motive to kill the deceased. Squabble from jealousy? Need to thoroughly investigate their relationship, place of work, etc. Need to get information from the police on scene again. I want some cream puffs. 4 jumbo ones. Ooishi. Thank you all for watching this episode of Higurashi When They Cry, Onikakushi. Please make sure, if you're enjoying the series, to give me a subscription if you don't mind. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye-bye!